uberpeople.net. I'm pretty much sure that 90% of the drivers are registered there. Great forum where you will find out a lot, learn a lot, read a lot, where you can contribute a lot, right? And the Lyft versus Uber question, I'm just going to throw it out there. Feel free to comment. When you jump into that forum, it gets rather interesting, right? So I'm going to read you a couple of comments. Then you can chime in, of course. I've provided nearly 20,000 rides with Uber, but grew tired of the lack of transparency regarding the passenger's destination. So I primarily drive for Lyft now, and I'm much happier. How about you? So here they're talking about the destination. The driver does not seem to be happy with the Uber platform. They seem to think that Lyft is more transparent when it comes to the passenger's destination. Can you agree on that one? So let's go to another comment here. They say, I hate Lyft. They are 10 times worse than Uber. Limit Uber commission to 20 to 25% of the total fare. So when you say Lyft is 10 times worse than Uber, well, then give us the 10 reasons, right? That's what we're here for. So feel free to comment on your reasons. And we're basically just comparing Uber and Lyft in 2024. Very, very simple. Person says, I agree. I'm more happier with Lyft. They pay better in my area and riders are far better. But when it comes to app and navigation stuff, I like Uber app more. So when it comes to the navigation, which of the two would you choose, right? So a lot of good content here. I like the Uber app more when it comes to rating system. Uber sucks. For Lyft, when a rider doesn't give you a rating, it counts as 5 stars automatically. But for Uber, rating only is counted when riders rate you. Most of the time, riders who want to give you a shitty rating wouldn't bother giving a rating. A bit strange. For years now, Lyft and Uber have been battling against each other in fierce competition to prove to their drivers which of the two companies can actually suck the most. Seems they always end up in a tie. And that seems to be the general theme, right? When I read comments, even in other channels, in my channel, the text messages, I mean, really, which one sucks more in 2024? It even rhymes. Which one sucks more in 2024? This person says, I don't think they're battling anyone. I suspect they're the same company. Feel like using the same servers. How the hell is it that quite often pings will start on both apps at the same time? I'm using 2 separate phones now to separate services. One is T-Mobile and the other one is Spectrum Mobile. Same phones, by the way, Samsung A54. Would highly suggest you have 2 phones. For example, you're in LA, you need Verizon and AT&T. If you're in the Hollywood Hills, you're not going to get Verizon. You'll get AT&T and vice versa in other areas like Malibu. It's exactly the opposite. So I highly recommend 2 phones there. But this individual thinks that they are the same company. They're not. They are a duopoly fighting each other. Yes, they both suck. I hate Uber more than I hate Lyft. But Uber has one big advantage over Lyft, much higher ride demand. Absolutely true. Although I think that ride demand is dwindling fast. Feel free to comment. This person says, agreed, if you're doing ride sharing for a living and want to also do various deliveries, you have to run Big Daddy Uber, no choice. They have 75% of the market share, which is true. Usually most drivers do both and run Lyft only when it's slow, but when it's busy, run only Uber for the better daisy chaining effect of picking up close to your previous drop-off and reduce deadheading. So the person makes a good argument for reducing deadheading. They say that the trips are lined up faster. So if you arrive somewhere, you got the next trip already, you've dropped them off, you got the next trip, so you don't have all these dead miles. It sounds like in the Uber versus Lyft comparison, when it comes to dead miles, this individual believes that Uber reduces the dead miles more than Lyft. So Joseph says, Uber here in New Jersey is getting worse and worse. It's very sad here. Thank God I have another job. Fantastic. Madnan says $16.22, $3 bonus included 21 miles total trip. Bullshit. And that's on Lyft. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, feel free to comment, like chime in on this discussion here. So usually most drivers do both run Lyft when it's slow. This one, again, they said that Uber is better, daisy chaining, right? You pick up your next, you pick up your next. Lyft doesn't really reduce those dead miles. Regardless of whom, you should always make more on the meters plus tips than odometer miles you drove that day. Home driveway to home driveway. It's not a problem to cherry pick up to 15% on Uber, but Lyft annoys the hell out of you if you don't. Good point here. They say it's not a problem to cherry pick up to 15% on Uber, but Lyft annoys the hell out of you if you don't. So they start bombarding you with their warnings. And again, we're on uberpeople.net, great website. If you haven't registered there, go over there. In my area, Lyft most of the time pays more, and seeing that I'm now a part-time driver, the bonuses and incentives are easier to get. Only reason why I keep Uber is for food delivery and package deliveries. Some of them I do quite well, like the one I posted below. In addition to the trip, and the trip included, they also gave me a $20 cash tip. So that one, this individual seems to be happier doing Lyft Rideshare and Uber Eats deliveries, but not actually Uber Rideshare. In my city, 2-hour ride for $90, do it. But how's the area once you get there? The more rides. Landing in a good area is just as important as the ride. I really don't know what the guy's talking about. An off-the-wall theory of this Lyft ride, if you can do 10 per week only, it's $1,000. 700 miles. Standard duct of near 500. Okay, you throw in 10 small rides to offset, but time for the day, 22 hours plus the small rides, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Rider photos are super helpful on Lyft, and Lyft's pickup point arrival system is better than Uber. Let me repeat that. Rider photos are super helpful on Lyft. He's comparing Uber and Lyft rider photos. And Lyft's pickup point arrival system is better than Uber's. How do you feel about that? And again, you can chime in as you wish, right? As you wish. Feel free to leave your comments below. We have Barry in the house, Barry K. Neither. They kick drivers around like a soccer ball. Good point. Badland says, I have countless pictures of crappy offers I've been offered all the last 4 months on Lyft. Both companies are designed to use the backbone to get paid. Yet still they lowball us regularly. Shaking my head. It's good feedback. Normally you can hit arrive 1 block away, and if you're waiting at a light, that can give you a free minute before you even get to the pickup point. 30 seconds after that, you start getting wait pay. And although the cancellation fee sucks on Lyft, you can do it a lot faster than Uber. Updating your profile photo is easier, and no stupid selfies. Also, no trip radar, so you click accept you vet the ride. 90% of the time I'm doing Uber because they are busier, but would actually prefer doing Lyft if the pay and ride volume were the same as Uber. That's a great piece right there, right? By the Strokes. Very good. Says, I feel exactly the same on all points, plus with Lyft, the score is only based on 100 rides. You can knock a 4 out of the formula in a week. And if a passenger is a pain in the butt, you can preempt them leaving you a bad review by giving them 3 stars to unmatch you with that rider, and Lyft will protect your score by making that rider's rating not count against you. They seem much more fair to and protective of the drivers than Uber on ratings. So the individual says when it comes to ratings, Lyft protects you more than Uber. Would you agree with that? Leave the comments. I guess it depends on the market, but I couldn't care less how many more rides Uber gives over my entire market than Lyft does. If Lyft can keep me busy every minute I'm online, whether it's 2 in the afternoon or 2 in the morning, how many more rides Uber might get doesn't mean anything to me personally. I can't be busy more than 100% of the time. And who knows, could be a troll, right? You could have trolls in the mix here as well. And not in our feed, but I'm talking on this feed. Mickey Frost says the only difference between Uber and Lyft is one pink and the other one black. Both are legal criminals. Very, very well said, my friend. And you are 100% right. I mean, the amount of, Mickey Frost, the amount of emails and text messages I get daily, 92% are problem based, right? Like unhappy with this, pay sucks, this sucks, and it's rather exhausting. It's exhausting reading those messages daily. You know, when 5, 6, 7 years ago, it was a far more upbeat commentary in the videos. You read the comments in today's videos, oh my Lord, the people are not happy with both. But I'm sort of trying to find out here which sucks more, Uber or Lyft. Like, which of these two suck more, right? And by reading all of these, Diego says 2024 making more money with Lyft, but still no good. Joseph's in New Jersey. Love says Uber is very restricted, even if they push you to accept a trip. Barry K says legal criminal is a phenomenon of our time. That is 100% correct. So this person says, funny, last summer I had at least 20 rides in about a month where the Lyft rider profile was new at one day with 0 ratings and 0 rides, and also didn't have a proper name. They were all like XWQ41. A lot of them got in the car saying Uber this and Uber that until I said, you mean Lyft? They all said, no, I ordered an Uber. So I started asking every time, and more than half of those weird new account people swore they ordered on the app, on the Uber app. The rest said someone else ordered for them and they didn't know. Tampa Bay is Hillsborough and Pinellas counties. On the rate card, all these rides were when I ventured out to Polk and Sarasota counties, like some kind of lower volume area test. And then it stopped as quickly as it started. I don't know that it's evidence they're the same company, but it certainly added to my evidence they're at least in cahoots. Interesting comment. Me too, and that's the part people don't want to acknowledge. In my area, is the operate phrase, if Lyft doesn't have a good volume in an area, or Uber has better bonuses there or whatever, fine. That doesn't mean they suck. It means they haven't grown into your market yet, or they're not focused on it. So the pay is better in my market. It was that way in Tampa when I started too. I say all the time I had to drive for Uber the first couple of years because I sat on the side of the road for 20 minutes waiting for a ride with Lyft when I first started. Plus I got premier rides with Uber and there wasn't Lux or Lux Black ride to be found ever with Lyft. That's true. I experienced that years ago as well. I made 3 times as much with Uber, but 2 years later, when I was going to leave Uber, even if it meant not ride sharing at all anymore, Lyft had grown into the Tampa market really well. Lux Black every Friday and Saturday night, some during the week as well. Busy no matter what time of the day. Decent volume bonuses, plus I love that radius ride filter, so I'm not wasting time turning down 1 hour rides. Good feedback. So it's fine for anyone to say they prefer Uber, but thinking that means nobody else knows what they're talking about, like some on this board do, it's just short-sighted. And it doesn't even have to be the whole market. When Uber switched their bonuses to almost exclusively bonus zones a year or 2 ago, they put all the bonus areas downtown here and really screwed the suburban riders. All the drivers went downtown every day for the bonuses, and suddenly nobody could even get their usual ride work in the burbs. That changed after a while, but Lyft picked up a lot of suburban riders saying they could never get an Uber anymore, or it was suddenly twice the wait for twice the money. In the months that went on, and now Brandon, Florida is just as busy for Lyft as downtown Tampa. This stuff is very geography specific, insisting everything is the same for everybody, coast to coast, ain't gonna make it so. We're all grown-ups, we know what we make. And I know, and I don't know about anybody else, but here in Tampa, Lyft riders are much gentler with my car and leave a lot fewer messes. Less entitlement, more friendliness. Less entitlement, more friendliness with Lyft riders in Tampa. Would you agree? So let's see some of the. Lorenzo Davis says, hi, Prof, how can I get in touch with you? I was approved for the TCP permit. That's excellent. How can I start getting clients and setting up prices? Dude, you need to take my course, man. It's at the bottom of every video. Go to gigrocket.com and take the private chauffeur course. I mean, that's really everything you need to know. In addition, now you've got your TCP. Congratulations. Now go make money, my friend. Go and make money. Brent Adams says, I'm thankful for both networking platforms. Once I start accepting this fact that I need nicer and newer vehicle, both apps help me find my clients. Okay, cool. Good for you, my friend. In Phoenix, Arizona market, for whatever reason, riders tip me more on Uber than Lyft. Do you experience that? Super Troll says, Uber always has better surge pricing. I've never seen a Lyft surge over $5 in my area. Good feedback. Brent Adams says, Lyft shows destination up front and Uber does not show up front in my market. What market are we talking about, Brent? Mention your market. Maestro app is helpful. Lyft shows more realistic surges or need. Lyft riders seem like friendly people on average. So we've got a couple of people that say that Lyft riders are more friendly. Some people say that Uber riders are more entitled. How do you feel about that? So this one is in Phoenix. If anybody else is in Phoenix, you can comment on this. That's more in Phoenix market, for whatever reason, riders tip me more on Uber than Lyft, so I tend to drive more for Uber these days. Sounds kind of corny, but I also like the fact that I can thank the riders for leaving a tip. For some strange reason, you can't do that through the Lyft app. How's that for a point? Does that affect you? This person says, sounds kind of weird, but I also like the fact that I can thank the riders for leaving a tip with Uber. For some strange reason, you can't do that through the Lyft app, right? And I hope that Uber and Lyft management, not necessarily executives or higher management, but management come across this video. This is really, really good feedback, right? These are the little things that people that pay attention to. Justin Francis in the house. What distinguishes the one from the other? What makes the one app better than the other? It's the fine little things that people are talking about. So Love says, I appreciate what you do, but Uber is outraged in Texas. I don't feel like I'm an independent contractor. Trip acceptance is obligation. Uber shares unsafe. I mean, what Uber and Lyft really need to do is start treating drivers as true independent contractors, because as true independent contractors, and Californians will know this, and I absolutely loved it. It was called a multiplier. You could set it from 1x to 5x. If you wanted to drive for 3x and a rider would take it for 3x, you were making 3 times the amount of the money, right? So independent contractors should be setting their own rates. And it's true, you're just not treated as a true independent contractor. But I hope that Uber and Lyft, I'm talking about the San Francisco companies now, any of their staff jump into these videos and pay attention to these little details, because they could learn a lot, they could improve a lot. What do Uber drivers like? What do Lyft drivers like? What do Uber drivers hate? What do Lyft drivers hate? It's all packed in here. Plus then all your comments. Philip Michael says, you can thank the rider for the tip in the comments section of the ride. Search YouTube for how to do this. Excellent feedback. Thank you, Philip Michael. That's a great one. Javier Sandoval says, in Dallas, Uber has the majority of the market, but passengers seem more entitled. Lyft is a slower pace, but definitely has the friendlier passengers. So I've had 3 people say that Lyft passengers are friendlier. Slim says Lyft riders are more friendly, now 4, because they leave nice comments and give you better ratings. But do they give you better tips, right? I mean, nice comments, better ratings are wonderful. What about the tips, my friends? Uber riders never leave nice comments and they give me worse ratings. I feel like I need to be perfect with Uber. Next guy in Chicago says none. They compete to be the worst. Worst against the worst, right? So this person says that's more than Phoenix. Lyft riders seem to tip both less often and with fewer dollars than Uber riders overall. And yes, I always thought it was weird we couldn't say thanks too, though since it has not a custom message, I guess the riders could also get bored with seeing thanks for the tip every single time and just assume it's a system generated message, or have a reason to get ticked off with a driver who didn't have time to go back through and hit the button on which of the missed one. So in the end, I'm okay with it. This individual says, I still do both. One isn't enough to get to the amount of money I need for the bills I have. I do like Lyft better due to being able to map out where the passenger destination is. Somebody else said that before. Yes, I love Lyft, says this person here. I used to drive almost exclusively for Uber through the pandemic, up until they really started to drop Boost and Quests. Lyft was still giving out more bonuses at that point, and I saw a lot of opportunities where Uber was dropping the ball. Really good feedback here. Pay attention, Uber. At that point, I really started using both regularly. Both were busy at the time, but uniquely so. I could almost always get a Lyft XL when I wouldn't get an Uber XL regularly if it wasn't on X. Lyft for a long time had a far better surge quantity as well. I could work from home and just take short, high surge rides over a few hours, part-time driver, and do well. It just took some patience. During the weekend, Lyft was as busy as Uber, or busier for a long time, over 1 year, and then Lyft just died out. Now they're about half or 2/3 as busy depending on the weekend. Quests are harder to reach and surging still exists, but passengers aren't requesting during the surges. So now I will take Uber rides when Lyft is quieter. Uber equals no surges, but better tipping. Key point here, Uber equals no surges, but better tipping. Let me repeat that. Do you agree with this? Uber equals no surges, but better tipping compared to Lyft. Brent says they need to treat us and we must treat ourselves as independent contractors. I like that. Devin Cruz says it's whack that you can't see the destination of the trip. 100%. Like, what's up with that? Withholding the destination of the trip. Like, what on earth is that about? It drives me crazy, Devin. It drives me absolutely crazy that they believe we shouldn't be entitled to that destination information. I mean, that's grounds for, not accepting that trip right there. I mean, are you going to risk going into an area that you don't want to go to, that might be dangerous just because they're withholding the destination? I think they're hurting themselves big time there. After you accept, as if Uber is scared, you'll cancel after reconsidering. Correct. Super Troll says Lyft has more transparency in regards to rides. Amount per mile ride destination is still available in pickup mode. I wish Lyft had some sort of customer referral incentive. Philip Michaels says, why is tipping better on Uber? Does the Uber app promote tipping and Lyft not so much in the app? Brent says it's unsafe not having a destination. I agree. Keep those comments coming, man. There's a lot of good information and feedback here. Quaz says, I hate the Uber app. Navigation keeps flipping to show the destination address instead of the next move and distance to that move. I flip it back to navigation. It flips itself to the address. I don't know where the address is, much less how I get there. Leave my screen alone, he says. Destination filter often doesn't take me anywhere near the set destination. Interesting. Started not accepting rides if pickup isn't going in my direction. Then kicking passengers out after pickup if destination isn't going in my direction. Yeah, they're not happy. I tell them, complain to Uber for trying to put them in my car, not going toward the destination that I've set. Lyft usually keeps me busy. Interesting. Lyft incentives for elite status seems really good to me. Uber incentives, why would I want more destination filters that don't work? Good point. Do you experience the same? I kind of feel like Charlie Brown going back to try Uber. Only do this a little last week, each month after locking in Lyft Elite easily in 3 weeks just to see if anything has changed. Vagabond says, yes, Lyft's destination filter is also awful. One time I was 15 minutes west of my home, so clearly was looking for a short trip east. I got a ping in 5 seconds for 1 hour ride, putting me 30 miles and about 40 minutes east of my house. Right direction to start, but a bit of a sling of overshot and further from my destination than I already was. I've had other situations where it sends me 5 blocks east to pick someone up to go 6 blocks west. So I just wasted 15 or 20 minutes getting 100 feet closer to my destination. Those wasted miles, those wasted minutes picking up a rider. I mean, you truly have to factor those in you got to factor those in at the end of the day, right? If you're driving 15 minutes in one direction, dead miles to pick someone up, only to go 5. Eric W. in the house throws down 10. Thank you. Surge baiting. Why there hasn't been a class action lawsuit for this long is beyond me. Thanks for what you do. Thank you. Eric, the way to approach this, if you have good evidence, right? Good evidence on surge baiting. There is a national database of law firms, state by state, that do class actions, right? Now, if you go into a forum like Uber People or Facebook, and you say, hey, who else has experienced surge baiting, right? Contact me. I am planning a class action. Just hear me out here. So if you and a second driver experiencing the same surge baiting, right, you now have 2 people, which qualifies for a class action. But if you can gather several more parties, several more drivers that have experienced surge baiting, and they have the screenshots to prove, George is in the house, right? You can then contact these class actions attorneys and say, listen, I've rounded up 20 drivers for you, here they are, that experience surge baiting. We're all losing money. Are you interested? Now, if they see a potential to get a couple of thousand drivers, these law firms usually spend a lot of money. They say, you know what, this guy's right. Surge baiting is real. He has shown me evidence of 20 drivers, which he collected from Facebook or uberpeople.net. We're going to spend 20, 30, 40, $50,000 on marketing, social media marketing, print marketing, and get as many drivers into this class action. Then you're talking serious business. That's really how it starts. That's how the ball starts rolling when it comes to class action. So you're onto something, but you need at least another 5, 10, 15 drivers more. So this person says, but Lyft has the radius filter. Oh, I love the radius filter. When I know I want to head home soon, but the radius filter on for maybe 9 miles with the center between where I am and home. I'm on the outer edge of that radius, so the rides can't help but bring me closer. Smart, very smart. Then when I get a ride and I get a little closer, I make it my last ride. Adjust the radius from 9 miles down to 7 or 8. Go online, get the next ride. Repeat down to 5 or 6. This is genius right here. This is genius. Like, if people should really, this video is just worth this paragraph right here. How this person uses the Lyft radius filter to get home by adjusting. Who else does that? This is smart. I like this. This is working smart. Then when I get a ride and a little closer, I make it my last ride, adjust the radius from 9 down to 7 or 8, go online, get the next ride, repeat down 5 or 6, so it doesn't take me further out again. You can hit that stamp in the center of the radius filter or go to filter on to adjust the miles multiple times in 3-hour window. It does not count as a new filter use. Just a tip. The radius filter has been a real problem solver for me. So this guy's really turned the radius filter into something that works for him. Eric W says, if there's not a surge, don't drive. If there's not a good quest, don't drive. 100%, right? You got to pick the cherries. You got to pick the cherries. You can't just, if you go out there, and there's a couple of videos, Sergio had a guy who just accepts every trip, right? If you accept every trip, you're going to get a lot of crappy offers. The algorithm's going to read, oh, this guy or this girl accepts everything. So we're just going to spoon feed them whatever we want to feed them, right? And what you're doing is you're running up your miles. Timothy says, I use the Lyft radius filter to avoid trips into Massachusetts that will result in me deadheading back to NH. Excellent. So Sparky here says, I did about 10,000 for Uber in the Boston area, then a few hundred for Uber Eats before switching to Grubhub during the pandemic in the Boston area and then the Atlanta area. Then I moved to Lyft for about 10,000 rides in Atlanta and then Boston. Well, this guy's been around. He's tried everything. Grubhub in Atlanta was okay, but people don't tip as much or as often as they do in Boston. I enjoyed Lyft much better than Uber. However, Lyft changed their pay in January of 2022 in Atlanta, and my pay was cut by a third, approximately 33%. Then I moved back to Boston and income went back up. But there were small cuts in income and per ride earnings all along the way. Eventually, I stopped driving altogether in August of 2023. Now, this person was bouncing back between, and a lot of people do this, right? Bouncing back between, living in Atlanta, Boston, back and forth. What you also have to take into consideration, Justin's in the house, good night, my friend, is the cost of living, right? Atlanta, the cost of living is far better, or, far cheaper than Boston. So yeah, you might be earning more in Boston, but you have to really look at the total picture here, ladies and gentlemen, especially if you say, you know what, I'm sick and tired of New York. I'm going to go and drive in LA for a bit. I'm going to go to the West Coast, or I'm going to go down to Vegas. Look at everything. Look at the cost of living. Look at the gasoline prices, right? It's easy to shut down in one city, load your car or your U-Haul and go and set up somewhere else. That's very, very easy. But does it make it? Tiger Meg is in the house. Neither one pays enough to cover fuel costs here. For a truck-based SUV, I no longer drive for either. Interesting. Barry K, replaceable only to those scammers. That's why we have to build our individual driving. Thank you. Javier Zandoval, I honestly would be happier with setting my own rates. Also, my 1099 from Uber and Lyft were inaccurate, stating I earned anywhere from 20% to 35% more than I actually did. I filed my taxes based on my actual income, not on what Uber or Lyft tried to say I earned. That's a big one right there. The whole 1099, what Uber's reporting and what you receive. Big discrepancies. Both Uber and Lyft are poop. They treat drivers like shit, pay drivers like shit, and they view their drivers as shit. Powerful statement. Eric says that's 100% AR guy that Sergio interviewed was unreal. There's absolutely no way he's making more than minimum wage if you're looking at online time. Yeah, and his miles are through the roof, man. I don't want to see that guy's overheads. His expenses, his miles must be ridiculous. YouTube Experiment says, Tiger Meg, I stopped driving with Uber and Lyft as well. I haven't looked back. Uber is bad. And unfortunately, many newbie drivers are being systematically taken advantage of by the unscrupulous nature of the so-called ride-sharing business. So yeah, jump in there. I mean, you can add to the feed. I probably read you 30, 40 different takes from different people. We also, that's uberpeople.net. We also, we have 56 to 60 people here. If you can hit the like button, got a lot of good feedback. And obviously we'll have a lot of people coming into the feed, leaving their comments. So it might be worthwhile coming back to this video in a week or two and just read what people leave, right? I mean, I truly think like if people are sharing, especially, from the same market, if you're in Atlanta and somebody else is sharing on Atlanta, and you're getting 3 or 4 people reporting on Atlanta, at least 2024. I mean, don't really like talking about the past, right? The past is the past. History is history. What happened in 22, what happened in 23, what you were paid in 2016, it ain't 2024, my friends. Farmer Bill is in the house. So we got to talk about 2024, and I can tell you, everything in 2024 revolves around this sign, right? How much are you paying me Lyft? How much are you paying me Uber? How much are you paying me DoorDash? How much are you paying me Uber Eats? That's the big one, because with the take rate increasing, meaning all these companies, the pressure of the investors, all of these companies paying the drivers less, taking more from the riders, their take rate is increasing. And you are putting in more hours, like George says, just strike. We got to hit them with more strikes. But you got to put in more hours to make up that deficit of 3-4 years ago. And if you add it up per week, it's a lot of additional hours. People are putting in 10-15 hours more per week just to reach that same bar that they set for themselves 2 or 3 years ago. You don't like going backwards in pay, right? As humans, we like promotions, we like climbing, we like more incentives, we like being incentivized, we love earning more, but we hate going backwards. And once the algorithm has figured you out and makes you work more and extracts more work, more profits for them. Obviously, Tiger Meg says, it'll set you back 175K brand new. You can sell advertisement space on it, but I recommend something elegant looking like what you would see on a letterhead. I don't exactly know what you're talking about there. There ought to be a third-party auditing app that allows riders and passengers to know how much each party is paying, learning to combat the possibility of passenger side surges that aren't seen on the driver's ends. Mark B. of Arizona says, upfront has to be what the passenger is paying. What the cut is, it's insane. It's not upfront, half upfront. Then they add BS, insurance service fees. These external fees, it's the biggest lie. David Risher going around there, they're earning 70%. They're earning 70% guarantee. They're earning 70%. It's not 70%, David Risher. Drivers know how to calculate. It's what the rider pays. It's what the driver It's what the driver received. In between, you fudging with your external fees, taking this, taking that, jacking up the insurance. That's what's driving the drivers insane. It's driving them mad. It's making them angry. Only one way, punish them, strike. Oh, the Sprinter van. You bought a Sprinter van? You bought a Sprinter van? Damn, nice. Let's go, guys. TACUA says, how much is California drivers are getting paid now? It's pathetic pay in California. You got to do private trips, private clients. Turn all your Uber and Lyft riders into private clients, my friends. TM says, imagine an app. Yep, I've read that one. Oh, imagine an app that both passenger and drivers have installed. When passenger gets in, they scan a QR code you leave on the back of your seats. Cool. Good feedback. Madeline says, BS external fees, Uber and Lyft fees. I mean, external fees. I mean, they just dreamt up all that nonsense in the last year. External fees. And I'll tell you what I think of external fees. That's what I think of external fees. You want to know what I think about external fees? That's what I think of external fees. They're shitty. They suck. Okay, my friends. I hope everyone leave thumbs up. Thumbs up. Hit the like button, please. We'll be bringing out more videos. I'm going to crank it up. Just been very, very busy. A lot of property stuff, a lot of building going on in my place. So a lot of grading, construction, building right across the road. I bought another property, so a lot going on. So, but I got to get back. I've got to get back into my little studio here. I got to deliver for my people. I've got to deliver for my subscribers. And I'm not going to let you down. And I'm going to keep on advocating for you all. God bless you all. Please, please, please stay safe out there. And feel free to comment. Eric, thank you. I really appreciate you. Super troll. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. Every single one of you. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your feedback. Great input today from all of you. And as you are coming in, please leave your comments on this topic, Uber versus Lyft. You know, is Uber treating you better? Is Lyft treating you better? Do they both suck? Is Uber treating you worse? Is Lyft treating you worse? Please feel free. I mean, say whatever you want. Even if YouTube bans you, right? The worst that YouTube can do is ban your message or your comment, but feel free to leave whatever you want. Have a great evening, everyone. Take care. Until the next. Leg's coming on. Physical therapy 3 times a week. Leg is getting strong in the gym, doing the weights, getting better every single day. Cycling. Appreciate you guys. Thank you, everyone. God bless you all. Stay safe.